what we have discovered is a set of flavonoids that if we had made this discovery in the 50s or 60s, they would be classified as a vitamin. You may be aware that the SHEA publication, Standards for Industry, they decided to not allow any more vitamins because it implies they're a drug, and in fact they are a drug. Lack of certain vitamins and minerals cause disease, and by taking an adequate amount of those vitamins or minerals, you treat the disease condition, and that is the definition of a drug. It got them in a little bit of a trouble because for about a week it meant that all of our vitamins that we know, the standard ones, A, D, K, etc., and some minerals were declared to be drugs, and furthermore, that meant that fruits and vegetables that had these vitamins in them would be illegal to sell. So what was done was they grandfathered in all currently known vitamins and minerals, and then said if there was any new discovery, they would have to go the drug route. We'd actually have to get them registered. So we didn't know we were making this discovery at the time. We were just looking at citrus fruit. This is like 2001, and we knew that there was a change in people's blood chemistry when they ate or drank citrus juice or grapefruit juice. We did a study at Scripps Institute which showed that there was definitely weight loss and changes in insulin levels in people after 90 days. So it was not satiety, it was actually a physiological metabolic change. So we set about to find out exactly what it was, and we found out that in all fruits, particularly berries, and even the most prevalent in tropical berries, every time there was a high carbohydrate load, there always appeared this specific set of bioflavonoids. And that really intrigued us. And I can jump ahead 10 years and tell you that we finally isolated them. And out of about 10,000 compounds, we isolated these three, which are myricetin, quercetin, and chlorogenic acid. And between the three of them, they will completely regulate carbohydrate metabolism. We've hypothesized that in nature, a sugar is either a food source or a poison, like a glycoside. And the only way for the body to know whether it is a poison or not is if it is accompanied by these flavonoids. So if you consume sugar with what we're calling sugar chaperones, if you consume that like in a fruit, like in a grapefruit or pineapple, mango, you get the sugar, glucose, sucrose, fructose, but you also get this dose of flavonoids, and it directs the sugar to where in your body it needs to go. They do that by inhibiting amylase just slightly, inhibiting glucose transporter 2 from the gut to the bloodstream, stimulating glucose transporter 4, which is from the blood into the brain and muscle tissue, and not only stimulate them, but actually cause glucose transporter 4 to be translocated from the vacuoles in the cell to the outer cell membrane. And furthermore, they inhibit gluconeogenesis. And as we kept looking at this, we actually saw that in the body there are this docking site on these specific enzymes throughout the body. It was conserved in several metabolic systems. And we theorized that we basically grew up with these through evolution, or however you like to say it, creation, these flavonoids are meant to be consumed and are a vitamin, and the mammal body uses them to regulate several systems. So we were initially thinking that we could take these compounds and put them in foods, brownies, something that people enjoy, breads, even colas, and make them safe for people that were concerned with high blood sugar. We did that in a couple of experiments, and it worked. Even putting them in brownies, after eating them, your blood sugar actually goes down. So it has the effect of lowering the glycemic impact of high glycemic foods. And if you take this product just a week, your background blood glucose level drops if you have an issue with high blood sugar. If you have normal high blood sugar, it doesn't do anything, because it's not like some synthetic chemical coming in there and doing something alien to the body. It's actually, you were meant to take them. And you know, we consume so many carbohydrates, we actually cannot get enough of these flavonoids in our regular diet. So that's why they truly are a supplement. You need to supplement your diet because you really cannot avoid refined carbohydrates. Even in the fruits and vegetables today that are grown, there's not enough of these flavonoids because they have, over the decades and thousands of years, we have increased the sugar content of grapes, for instance, but we've not paid any attention to the flavonoid concentration. So we just can't get enough. As we further looked at this product, we got reports continually that people were reporting anti-inflammatory responses that range from psoriasis, arthritis, asthma. They said, well, I took this product to lose weight and to lower my blood sugar, but the side effect is I no longer seem to have an arthritic pain. And we said, you know, I'll bet you there is something going on in the inflammatory pathway where there's another docking site on some key enzyme. And sure enough, the key enzyme in the inflammatory pathway is a tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF-alpha. And this set of compounds downregulates tumor necrosis factor alpha. So there are several other metabolic systems that either it upregulates or downregulates certain enzymes, but in particular, this chaperones sugar away from fat cells into muscle and brain tissue, as well as it downregulates tumor necrosis factor alpha, anti-inflammatory. So that's really it in a nutshell. This should be a vitamin. Everybody should be taking it. And people ask me, well, I've got this disorder, or I want to lose weight, or should I take it? I say, if you understand the story, you will say everybody takes it, just like everybody has to have vitamin C, everybody has to have vitamin D, everybody needs these particular flavonoids, which we're now calling emulin. Is there a question I can answer past that, or can delve into it any deeper?
I'm just curious, Doctor, if I may interject for a moment. You were nominated for the Nobel Prize twice in a row, 2 years successively, consecutively, rather. So was it for the emulin M and then the emulin C, or were they together, or what was it for?
It was for three things that are all interrelated. Initially, it was for the discovery of this vitamin set. So we don't call it a vitamin, but you know, if the authorities had a different mindset, this really is an amazing discovery. It's a new vitamin that everybody needs. It's not just like, okay, vitamin C versus rickets or scurvy or vitamin D, etc. But for so many metabolic systems, the body uses flavonoids as regulator, just like it uses amino acids to make proteins. It uses these flavonoids as regulators on enzymatic systems. And then the second part, we also have started moving into Alzheimer's And we have been able to reverse symptoms in people at preclinical trials, and we're actually looking at funding for the project right now. And then we were approached a couple of years ago by some U.S. government agencies, which we had worked with before, to see if we could do anything about Ebola, because we had worked with retroviruses. And we put the connection together. We already knew how to inhibit the initial phase 1 of the virus attacking the cells and get rid of that, downregulate that signal. But we put together this tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibition. And the only difference between Ebola and the common flu is that the inflammatory cycle is so severe, it actually attacks the glue between the cell. You actually melt, and that's pretty severe. So we aimed to downregulate tumor necrosis factor alpha. We did it with using one of the compounds in amylin. We used myricetin and a couple of other flavonoids, and we were successful in knocking Ebola right off the map, and that is also dengue virus and a couple of others. And then we just turned this over to some groups in Africa to do with it what they wanted. So that was the combination of the science and the humanitarian aspect, which we got nominated by Roscoe Moore. He was the deputy underneath Coop. You might remember Coop being the Surgeon General. He was the deputy under Coop, and he's involved heavily in African health care. So he thought it was worthy enough to give us a nomination.
Joe?
Yes.
While we're all on the line, it's kind of my question. Number one, since I last saw you, I've continued to really, really enjoy the product. Pain reduction, amazing. As I've shared with you, the sleep that I've gained, I'm not one night taken any sleep aid, and just amazing. And I've now lost 8 pounds. So that's all since I saw you in the very, very beginning. We're getting great feedback. Our docs are loving it. They're sharing it in their clinics, and we're about to expand and hopefully alliances and relationships. What I'm saying on the marketing side, and tell me whether this is true, I'm saying that what's fabulous on the business development marketing side about having a patented product is, you know, Joe, obviously I've been doing this for 24 years now. I've had some great products. By having a patented product, is it true, Joe, that what happens to us vis-a-vis competition is this is truly ours and ours only, because it's not because it's an onion or bark or you know, an orange. It's because you've discovered something that is going to be very, very, very hard to knock off. Is that marketing explanation true?
Yes, we don't really care where those molecules come from. They could come from dark myricetin we're getting out of dark grapes, muscadine in particular, quercetin we're getting out of onion, chlorogenic acid we're getting out of green coffee beans. They could just as easily come from bayberry bark, honeysuckle leaves, or Japonica sophora. Just like vitamin C, ascorbic acid could come from citrus, acerola, acai, rose hips. We're looking at the molecule. We have to list where it comes from, and it has to be from a food source to be able to sell it, particularly in Canada and UK. But we're looking at the molecules, and the patents are for the molecules, no matter where they come from. And those three do not occur together in nature. I had to prove that to the patent office. They don't occur together in nature. They're all natural, but there's not any single one plant where they appear. So the patent is for the combination of those three. And so no one else can use those three, even though they might add stuff to it. When you say there's an extract from some plant out in the middle of Africa or whatever, if it's effective, it's because it has one of these active molecules in it. But if they put together extracts so that the myricetin, quercetin, or chlorogenic acid show up, then they would be in violation of the patent.
Wow. Hey, Doc, is it also true, and this, of course, is very profound from a marketing perspective, that once you control the patented discovery called Emulin, we can expand the line when the channel needs expansion using Emulin inside in different areas and in different product development? Is that true?
Yes, the patent is very broad-ranging in that area. You can use it in anything that you can think of, in any combination, in any vehicle, and you could add things to it as well. So we've got it from, just like it is now, dry powder in a capsule, all the way through liquid forms in foods and beverages, power bars, energy bars, anything that you could think of.
Wow, wonderful.
That's exciting.
That's really yeah, that's exciting. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Well, we understand these interactions right at the even lower than the molecular level, right actually at the docking sites. We had to build our own algorithms to go through these tens of thousands. We did it through computer simulations, docking simulations, and then from there we nominated several flavonoids, and then we did a rat study on type 1 diabetic rats, STZ-treated rats. They had no functioning pancreas, and they regained their pancreas back. In fact, they had a proliferation of beta cells. And we have since found out that myricetin does induce stem cells to transform into beta cells. Wow. And then we did a study on type 2 humans. But, we were looking at diabetes, and we really don't want to carry that story because this is a vitamin that needs to be in everybody's diet, and we do not want to make any drug claims on this. Mm-hmm. It's just everybody needs it. Take it. You'll feel remarkably better no matter what ails you.
How does the body actually begin to decrease inflammation? And does it begin with the bigger arteries or the smaller ones or all at once?
Well, it's every place throughout your body. Tumor necrosis factor alpha is a key molecule that causes the inflammation cascade. You end up with having several interleukins in your body, which each one of these cause inflammation throughout the body. So it's not just like the arteries, the vessels in particular. It's every cell in your body you are under constant inflammation. You just don't realize it. Every cell in our bodies is having a low-grade inflammation. That means we have elevated blood flow in most of these areas, as well as increase in white blood cells. It's not enough that you would say, oh, I've got an elevated white blood cell count. No, but it's just constantly too high, and eventually they are attacking your cells. And there's where the danger of inflammation is, that after a while, it's a type of an autoimmune response. If you have a particular problem, you'll notice it. Like if you had arthritis, you will notice I have less pain. My joints are not swelling. Or if you have asthma, I don't have as many attacks. It's because throughout your body there's less inflammation, but you will notice those areas of which you do have an issue, like psoriasis. You'll see, I'm not inflamed today. Well, you're also not inflamed in your muscles and your arteries and your nerves and in your brain. You just don't recognize that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Why did I go from 7 years of not being able to sleep to now sleeping 23 days in a row before midnight, not waking throughout the entire night, whereas prior to that I was using very strong medications and still not sleeping? What is it about Emulin that addresses sleep in that way?
Well, because you have an inflammation in brain tissue and in the nerves and cells, and they are under agitation, and they start doing a continuous loop of firing over and over and over, and they won't calm down. They're under attack, and they're sending the signals across the synapses, and you just can't calm down. So what you do is you take synthetic chemicals in order to stop that firing of those synapses, whereas amylin will, throughout your body, decrease that inflammation, and therefore the nerves just settle down. They stop firing. And in your particular case, you had an excessive amount of nerve activity, but now you have less inflammation in your brain, and your body can take over, and you can get some sleep.
Is there any maximum dose on this that you recommend that we don't exceed, or?
No, well, if you go over the recommended dose, your body just eliminates it either through the urine or it migrates to your skin. And it doesn't stay in your bloodstream. And we put it at 750 because we knew that was the saturation point, no matter how heavy an individual was. And if you were light, it didn't matter. You would just get rid of it.
I see. Okay, good. That's good to know.
Hey, perfect. Thank you for your time, Doc. Thank you, Joe. This has been wonderful. Wonderful job. Thank you.